Let's talk about Carney. Let's talk about Emmanuel Macron. Let's talk about Ursula von der Leyen. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Let's talk about all these leaders.
Argue the middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Donald Trump was isolated. Donald Trump and therefore America was isolated in Davos yesterday. I want to now highlight the hypocrisy of Europe. Donald Trump is a dictator. He's a tyrant. But I believe that Europe and this European Union, they are the biggest hypocrites and the most dangerous bunch. America is still living in the slave mindset. At least Donald Trump is. He's still living in that slave mindset, wherein he believes Greenland is that piece of toy, is a piece of medal, is a piece of trophy that they won after the war with Germany and winning the war with Germany. So it's a war medal. Now let us look at the other side. And this is the interesting part of my editorial. Namaskar and welcome to another episode of Editorial. Today, let's talk about Carney. Let's talk about Emmanuel Macron. Let's talk about Ursula von der Leyen. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Let's talk about all these leaders. You see, what is interesting actually is, in the recent past, especially after Trump took over, our entire focus, not just mine, I think most of us, our focus in the media has now been diverted to geopolitics as much as we talk about our local politics. Because geopolitics all of a sudden has become very active, and geopolitics in the true sense of it has become almost very relatable and very close to our heart, our lives. Because somewhere down the line, most of the decisions that are happening around are also going to affect us in the very near future. So it has become very important to us. So it's good. So we have a lot of topics to talk about. Let's talk about the speech that Carney, the speech that Emmanuel Macron, and the speech that Ursula von der Leyen has made in Davos yesterday. And let's also talk about Donald Trump's speech. Now, I hope I am pronouncing Ursula von der Leyen as Ursula von der Leyen because it's written as von der Leyen, but it is supposed to be von der Leyen is what I am told. So Ursula von der Leyen is the president of European Commission. Now, each of these world leaders spoke brilliantly and spoke against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was isolated. Donald Trump and therefore America was isolated in Davos yesterday. Now, Carney, very, very famous speech. And if you'd like to know more, please go through my editorial. Please go through my article that I have written today. And but to give you a gist, he spoke about if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Argue the middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. That's
a fabulous way he put it. It was a brilliant, a very well articulated, well crafted speech, where he said that, listen, you know what? If you are not going to talk now, you see, silence can't be seen as neutrality anymore in the world. And so true. Silence can't be seen as neutrality. Just because you are quiet, that doesn't mean that idhar bhi nahi, udhar bhi nahi. Non-aligned hai bhai. Can't be seen that way. If you are silent, then you are supporting the aggressor. And the fact that he, without naming Trump or without naming America, he purely wanted to kind of, or whatever he said, actually meant that it was America who was the aggressor. And America, very unfortunately, were using their powers, their economic strength, their military strength to oppress others. They are using their economic power, their tariffs, to ensure that it is used as a weapon. This is what the long and short of his speech was. In fact, Macron also said more or less the same. In fact, just to give you a gist, Macron went on to say that look at the situation where we are. I mean, a shift towards autocracy against democracy, more violence, more than 60 wars in 2024, an absolute record, even if I understand a few of them were fixed. And conflict has become normalized. Hybrid, expanding into new demands, space, digital information, cyber trade, and so on. It is as well as a shift towards a world without rules. where international law is trampled underfoot and where the only law, it seems to matter, is that of the strongest. You all know who was he hinting at. You all know who was he hinting at. The imperial ambition are resurfacing. Whose imperial ambitions? American imperial ambition. We'll get into details, are resurfacing. And obviously the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which will enter into the 4th year next month, and conflict continues in the Middle East and across Africa. So he too, while he mentioned everything, global GAN, but end of the day, he was targeting at United States and Donald Trump. There is one more statement that Macron made, which I would like to draw your attention to, and where he said, we do prefer respect to bullies. We do prefer science to plotism. And we do prefer rule of law to brutality. You're welcome in Europe, and you are more than welcome to France. Like I said, something similar that the president of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, spoke in her speech. She too said that the world must be very different today, without any questions. But I believe the lesson is very much the same. The geopolitical shocks can and must serve as an opportunity for Europe. And in my view, a seismic change we are going through today is an opportunity. In fact, a necessity to build a new form of Europe independence. And this need is neither new nor a reaction to recent events. It has been a structural imperative for far longer. So when I used the term European independence around a year ago, I was surprised and skeptical of the reaction. Now, I want to draw your attention to this. Of course, nostalgia is part of our human history. But nostalgia will not bring back old order. And playing for time and hoping that things will revert soon will not fix the structural issue that we have. So my point is that if this change is permanent, then Europe must change permanently too. So, end of the day, a lot of these leaders spoke about a change that is happening in the globe. Like I said, Macron, Carney, they were very clear that the perpetrator of this change and possibly the person who is kind of damaging the entire world order and the way things are is Donald Trump. They were very clear about that, though none of them actually openly mentioned, took names, nothing of that sort. But long and short, they were very clear. Like I said, Ursula von der Leyen was more subtle and more kind of diplomatic about it. ठीक है. Chalo, let's now go forward from here. The thing is, Donald Trump came and laughed. He actually joked on all this. He made a joke of all this. He said, what are we talking about? He said, ठीक है यार, this is what I am. People call me dictator. And the world needs dictator.
Good speech. We got great reviews. I can't believe it. We got good reviews in that speech. Usually they say he's a horrible dictator type person. I'm a dictator. But sometimes you need a dictator.
So he is basically flaunting what he is. He has no regret and he will do more of what he is doing. You see, what surprised me is our few statements he made. He said, you see, Denmark is ungrateful. He said, I like the people of Denmark, but they're ungrateful because Denmark couldn't handle themselves when Germany attacked them. We had to come and save them. If we wouldn't have saved them, wo bhi nahi bachte the, but they would have also not survived and Greenland would have also not survived. The fact is, he acted as if it was some benevolence of America to save Denmark. It was not the benevolence of America to save Denmark. America didn't want Germany to be in their hemisphere. If they would have captured Denmark, Germany would have been in American hemisphere, which they didn't want. So they kind of acted. ठीक है, and even if they went and tried to kind of help Denmark, the way he is speaking about Greenland, as if Greenland is a piece of some kind of toy, that Denmark had it, we should have taken it then, we didn't take it then, Denmark is ungrateful, now we are going to take it. Why? Because we only gave Greenland their freedom, na? So we will take it back.
Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it.
America is still living in the slave mindset. At least Donald Trump is. He's still living in that slave mindset, wherein he believes Greenland is that piece of toy, is a piece of medal, is a piece of trophy that they won after the war with Germany and winning the war with Germany. So it's a war medal that they won. I mean, what about the people of Greenland? He has not spoken about them once. What about the people of Denmark? He has not spoken about them once. What do the people of Greenland want? He has not spoken about them once. What he says is, we should have taken Greenland long back when we won the war with Germany. We should have taken Greenland long back. We are idiots. We didn't take it. Now we are taking it. And he couldn't care less what Macron or what Mark Carney or what anybody says, for that matter of fact. Europe says in totality, for that matter of fact. He couldn't care less. So this is broadly what happened yesterday. Now let us look at the other side. And this is the interesting part of my editorial. You see, he exposed, Donald Trump himself, he shared a WhatsApp message that he and President Macron shared. President Macron writes to Trump, wherein he says, "My friend, we are totally in line with Syria. We can do great things in Iran. I do not understand what are you doing in Greenland. Let us try to build great things. I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday. I can invite the Ukrainians, the Danish, the Syrians and the Russians in the margin. Let us have dinner together in Paris, together on Thursday before you go back to US." This is what Emmanuel says. Emmanuel is talking about Syria. He's talking about Iran. He says we will do great things to Iran. What great things? Bomb Iran. That is the great things that Macron wants to do. I want to now highlight the hypocrisy of Europe. Donald Trump is a dictator. He's a tyrant. But I believe that Europe and this European Union, they are the biggest hypocrites and the most dangerous bunch. They are talking about a nation. He's talking about a nation. He's saying we'll do great things. We'll bomb more, I guess. That's what he must have meant. What else? What other great things can he do with Iran? Can you imagine the mindset? What he's literally saying, what I understood is, why are you troubling? Why are you going after a European country which is, or a country that Europe is supporting, that is Greenland? Why are you going after that? We'll go after Syria and Iran. No, we'll do great things. We'll do more bombs. It is like children saying that we'll go to that building and break glasses. We'll not break glasses here. It is my house also is here. Isn't that what this man just said? He's supposed to be a world leader. And this is not that there's some secret message that was, bought out through some sting operation or through some hacking or something. This is what Mr. Trump shared. This is the discussion that's happening between leaders. So what European Union are we talking about? What fairness are these people talking about? Do they even know the concept of fairness? First of all, let's ask that question. You see, another very important factor that we should highlight at this point in time is Russia has a problem because Ukraine wants to join NATO. What Russia says is, yeah, you are my neighbor, we share borders. If you get NATO in my doorstep, it is dangerous for us because they are my enemies. And we say Russia is wrong. Ukraine has all the right to go with whichever party they want, whichever country they want, whichever group they want. It's a sovereign country. It's an independent country. Fair. But when United States says that we don't want Russia and China in Venezuela, so we are going to kidnap that president and his wife, invade that country, and we will take over the country, we will administer the country till we decide who is the next president there. They are okay. People are fine with that. When Russia says no to Europe, they have a problem. They talk about sovereign rights. But when America says no to Russia and China, that's okay. That America is right. This is your European Union. This is Europe. When that American president bombs Iran, Europe says kudos. When American president bombs or kidnaps and invades a country like Venezuela, they are kudos. They congratulate America. But the same thing happens to Ukraine, they have a problem. When America goes to invade Greenland, they have a problem. They should. I am not disputing all that. But the fact is, what kind of selective justice is this? What kind of selective justice is this? हमारे घर पे लफड़ा नहीं चाहिए, बाकी के घर पे जो तुमको जो करना है करो. Europe has no right. They have no right to judge. They have no right to judge. They should be limited to their own country. They should be limited to their own region, because that's the only thing both America and Europe thinks. Actually speaking, both of them are absolutely the same. There is no difference between Europe and America. America thinks for their benefit, Europe thinks for theirs. All these global, global fairness, global rules, laws, etiquettes, trade, all these are jargons. Till such time it helps these people, they're fine with it. The moment it doesn't, they have a problem. Gaza, women and children died. Did any of these people have a problem? What Hamas did to Israel is not condonable. Of course it's not. It is absolutely condemnable. There is no question about it. But the fact remains that, is one wrong justify another? Just because that happened, so therefore go and kill millions of people? And in that burial ground, America wants to build a shopping complex. This is what is the reality today. The reality is absolutely unbelievable. 20 years from today, one wouldn't have even thought of such statements coming from world leaders. This is kind of order of the day now. This is the new normal. So this is broadly what I wanted to kind of get to your notice. While I'm sure you must have heard, and it's there in our channel also, please do go and hear Mark Carey's speech, brilliantly delivered, fantastic speech, no doubt about it. Even Macron and all spoke very well, all that is fine, but end of the day, I don't know what is in their hearts. And I don't know whether any of these countries are actually bothered about the world. They're bothered about their borders. Possibly they're bothered about their region. And that's reality. Till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.